the clock ticks. But in space, does it? You were told that time is constant, that 1 hour is always 60 minutes, that 60 minutes is always 3,600 seconds. But what if I told you that's only true here, on Earth, under gravity's gentle pull, on this spinning blue rock where the sun rises and sets in obedient rhythm? Out there, beyond the reach of our comfort, beyond the clouds and the atmosphere and even the pull of our moon, time loses its grip. 1 hour in space? It could stretch. It could vanish. It could be forever. Think of this. An astronaut floats above the Earth, 408 kilometers high aboard the International Space Station. Down here, you live out your hour. You boil your tea. You scroll. You laugh. You cry. And somewhere above, your twin in orbit, identical in every genetic thread, is aging just a little slower than you. Not metaphorically, literally. You were born the same second. But space has begun to steal time from one of you. That's not science fiction. That's relativity. Time, you see, is not a river flowing steady and calm. It is a storm, warped, bent, pulled apart by speed, by gravity, by mass. The faster you move, the slower time becomes. The closer you are to a gravitational well, a star, a planet, a black hole, the more time stretches and drips like thick honey. Let me break your mind. Imagine you are drifting toward the edge of a black hole. As you fall, your clock ticks normally. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. But someone watching from a distance, far from that monstrous gravity, sees something else. They see you slow down. Each tick takes longer and longer, until, to them, you are frozen, suspended at the edge of time, never falling in, never escaping, just stuck, forever. You're not really frozen. You still feel your heartbeat. You still think. You still breathe. But to the outside world, 1 hour for you might mean 10,000 years have passed for them. A whole civilization could rise and fall while you sit in your hour. Now ask yourself, what is 1 hour? You've lived with clocks your whole life. You've trusted them. You've scheduled your days and measured your years. But in the theater of the cosmos, clocks lie. They are local illusions, tools for survival on a planet spinning in a lonely corner of a spiral galaxy. Out there, in the raw machinery of the universe, time is stitched differently. It bends to motion. It bows to gravity. It cracks beneath the weight of infinity. So how long is 1 hour in space? It depends. Near Earth, an hour is still mostly an hour. But it's not exactly the same. Every satellite in the sky must compensate for this slippage. GPS would fail in minutes if it didn't account for time running faster above you than below. A soldier using a satellite-guided missile doesn't know it. But Einstein is correcting the course. His equations pulse silently beneath the war machine, whispering, "Time is not what you think. But move farther, farther, past Mars, past Jupiter. Near a neutron star where gravity is dense enough to crush atoms, that same hour could last longer. For you, it's 60 minutes. But for Earth, maybe 61, maybe 100, maybe 1,000, depending on your motion and your depth in the well of gravity. And then, there are the monsters, black holes, the giants, the destroyers. To them, 1 hour can be infinite. Stand too close to their event horizon, and time breaks. 1 second for you becomes eternity for us. And if someone were watching you from afar, as your ship circled the drain of that cosmic beast, they would see your movements slow to molasses, your final breath stretched across centuries. It's not science fiction. It's a consequence of the universe we live in. Now ask yourself again, how long is 1 hour in space? Do you mean on a shuttle orbiting Earth? Or in the gravitational grip of Sagittarius AA, the black hole at the center of our galaxy? Or perhaps you mean in the void, between galaxies, where there is almost no gravity, almost no motion, just stillness and cold and silence. There, time runs faster. There, an hour for you might be a blink for us. There, the universe whispers, unbound by friction, unchained by force, and still, time moves forward. Or does it? What if you're not moving at all? What if motion is an illusion? What if everything, past, present, future, is already there? Already happened? Already waiting? What if that astronaut above Earth isn't living in a different hour, but in a different now? What if your now is already someone else's memory? You thought an hour was simple, but the truth is, time is a lie. We tell ourselves to stay sane, and in space, that lie falls apart. You were told that time began with the Big Bang, a singular moment, blinding, violent, absolute. The universe, they say, burst forth from nothing, a sudden ignition of space, time, matter. But here's the truth that most don't see. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion in space. It was an explosion of space. No fireball detonating into a pre-existing void. No backdrop. No stage. Instead, it was space itself, stretching, expanding, unfolding from a single point so small it had no width, no height, no depth, just potential, infinite potential. And from that potential came everything. But if time began then, with the bang, what came before? This is where the story fractures, where the known gives way to the unknowable. You see, the early universe wasn't just hot. It was a furnace of becoming, a place where the laws of physics themselves were in flux, not yet locked into the elegant dance we now call reality. Time, as you know it, wasn't running forward yet. It was still coiling itself into a direction, like light learning how to cast a shadow, like melody forming in silence. Gravity hadn't fully emerged. Space was still deciding how to stretch. And time? Time was a newborn. Imagine it, 13.8 billion years ago, not as a distant event, but as a process. Not a bang, but a breath. The first exhale of something that had never breathed before, and in that breath, time began to tick. But not evenly. Picture a vast, fluid ocean. Now, drop a stone. The ripples spread outward. That's how space behaves, like a fabric stretched and pulled, distorted by mass and motion. And just as ripples travel slower in syrup than in water, time too moves differently, depending on the density of space, the weight of energy, the curves of gravity. Our universe is not a flat, clean sheet. It's wrinkled, folded, chaotic, a quilt of distortions, and time rides its surface like a surfer chasing waves in the dark. But here's where it turns strange. If space is expanding, and if time is tied to space, then time is expanding too. Right now, the cosmos grows larger. Galaxies drift apart, and as they do, time stretches. That means the tick of a clock a billion years ago might not be the same as the tick today. Your hour today isn't your hour yesterday. And tomorrow? It'll be even longer. The fabric of the universe is stretching. And so is the thread of time itself. Now imagine a galaxy, one of trillions, floating in that expanding sea. Within it, stars ignite like cosmic lanterns. Planets whirl around them. Moons dance. On one of those planets, a being looks up and asks, "What time is it?" But the stars do not answer, because there is no universal clock. Each point in the cosmos carries its own version of time. A galaxy on the far edge of the observable universe is seeing your present as its future, or its past, or a mix of both, because light has to travel, and space bends the path it takes. By the time light reaches you, it's been slowed, twisted, dilated, warped. This isn't poetry. This is physics. The farther you look, the older things become. Not because they are older, but because you are late to see them, trapped behind the veil of time's delay. So what's real? Is it what you see now, or what was, or what's yet to arrive? Let's go deeper. Einstein told us that time and space are one. Spacetime, a unified fabric. A four-dimensional arena where motion through one affects the other. When you move faster through space, you move slower through time. When you're deeper in gravity, time flows more slowly. It's not a metaphor, it's measurable. Your phone uses it. Satellites account for it. Without that correction, your GPS would miss your location by miles. And yet, we carry this illusion of uniform time, of an hour being an hour. But in truth, that's only local. Step near a neutron star, so dense it packs a sun's mass into the size of a city. There, time bends like soft clay. Spend an hour near its surface, and you return to a universe that has aged a century. The stars have shifted. People have changed. History has marched forward. Without you, one step into that gravity well is a step out of sync with the cosmos. Now ask, where do you go when your time no longer matches the universe's? Here's another twist: cosmic inflation. The idea that in the tiniest fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe expanded faster than the speed of light, not objects within space, but space itself stretching at incomprehensible speed. During that sliver of a moment, so short it cannot even be spoken without scientific notation, entire galaxies' worth of space were born. In that instant, time barely had meaning. It hadn't caught up, hadn't stabilized. So, what do we say about time during inflation? Did it exist, or was it simply waiting? Waiting to become something we could measure. And then, consider this. If time began at the Big Bang, then it had a beginning, a point before which there was no before. But how can something begin if there's no time for it to begin in? It's a paradox, a cosmic knot. You pull one thread, and another tangles tighter. This is where science dances with philosophy. If the universe has no edge, then where does it begin? If time is expanding, then where does it lead? If different places experience different flows of time, is there such a thing as now? You were told time is a line, but maybe it's a web, a foam, a kaleidoscope of moments all layered, all happening, all singing at once. You live in one melody, but others hum beneath it, slower, faster, older, younger. You just don't hear them, yet they are there. The universe hides its secrets not in darkness, but in distance, And every light you see in the sky is a message from the past, stretching across the expanding ocean of space, trying to reach you. And with it comes a question. What is now? You feel it. You name it. You live it. But can you define it? Because if you can't, then maybe time isn't what you thought. Maybe it never was. Imagine reality not as a river, but as a reel of film. Each frame, each second, already exists. The past, the present, the future, they're not moving. They're not unfolding. They are stacked, like stills in a movie reel, waiting to be illuminated by the light of consciousness. You believe you're flowing through time, but maybe you're just scanning through scenes, one after another, like a projector humming along. The edge of eternity. This is the block universe theory. In this model, time doesn't pass. It is. Every moment you've ever lived, every second you will ever live is frozen in place, unchanging, eternal. You're not moving forward. You're simply becoming aware of what already exists, like flipping through the pages of a cosmic book where every word is already written. You were born on one page, you die on another. But the book has always been whole. This idea, this unsettling, almost mystical concept, is rooted in Einstein's own equations. When he introduced general relativity, he didn't just change how we view gravity, he changed how we view time. And when a young physicist named Hermann Minkowski realized that Einstein's universe could be plotted as a four-dimensional block, 3 dimensions of space, 1 of time, our understanding fractured. No longer was time a flow, it was a coordinate. You do not move through time, you exist in time. Everywhere, all at once. Pause. Now imagine a different scenario. You're standing on a bridge. Below you flows a river, smooth, steady. But then you drop a stone, and instead of ripples, you see something else. Loops, circles. Time doesn't ripple out and fade. It curls, bending back toward itself. This is the time loop hypothesis. Certain solutions to Einstein's equations, especially those involving rotating black holes or wormholes, suggest that spacetime can curve back onto itself. These are called closed time-like curves. In theory, a particle could travel through one of these loops and arrive back at the point it started. A message could be sent to the past. A traveler could revisit their own timeline. The universe could eat its own tail. But what then? What happens if you go back and change something? What if you step on the wrong stone, move the wrong molecule, and derail the future that led you back? Welcome to the grandfather paradox. If you travel back in time and prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, you'd never be born. But if you were never born, who traveled back to stop the meeting? It's a recursive contradiction, one that short-circuits logic. To solve this, some physicists have proposed the many worlds interpretation. You didn't alter the past. You branched into another reality, another timeline where your grandfather never met your grandmother. But you, the time traveler, now exist in a separate universe, one where your actions created a fork in the road. The original universe? Still there, untouched. So now, the timeline is no longer linear. It's a tree, each decision, each quantum outcome, each tick of a particle, a new branch, a new world, an infinite forest of realities, each differing by a breath, a heartbeat, a blink. This isn't just speculation. This is a consequence of quantum mechanics, of the famous double-slit experiment, where a single particle can interfere with itself as though it traveled both paths, both choices, both worlds, and it forces us to ask, are we the only version of ourselves, or are we one of countless echoes, one of many yous spread across an eternal multiverse? Now, imagine all those universes, not scattered randomly, but layered, densely packed, touching at their edges like soap bubbles in a cosmic foam. Some are nearly identical to ours. Others are chaotic, alien, incomprehensible. And somewhere among them may lie a universe where time behaves backward, where entropy decreases, where people remember the future and forget the past. This isn't fantasy. It's science, pressed against the edge of what we can measure. Now let's return to singularities. These are the heart of black holes, points of infinite density where space and time collapse into a single coordinate. No volume, no direction, no up, down, or forward. Just infinity. At the singularity, time doesn't just slow, it stops. The equations break, the laws fail, and that is terrifying. Because physics, at its core, is our way of knowing. And here, we don't know. But some believe that singularities might not be the end, that they are bridges, gateways, to other regions of spacetime. What if every black hole leads to a white hole, a point in another universe where matter and time explode outward instead of collapsing inward? What if black holes are the wombs of other worlds? This theory, called cosmic natural selection, suggests that universes could give birth to other universes through black holes, each with slightly different physical constants, some chaotic, some lifeless, some just right, just like ours. You may be living inside the successful offspring of another universe, one that got the balance right, one where stars formed, atoms clung together, and time ticked in just the right rhythm to allow you to exist. And yet, if time is woven into the IOE structure of each universe, then every child universe could have a different time, a different direction, a different definition of 1 hour. So again, how long is 1 hour in space? It depends on which universe you're in, which brings us to entropy. Entropy is the measure of disorder, and it's deeply tied to the arrow of time. Everything moves from order to chaos, from the neatly arranged to the crumbled, the cold, the dead. Ice melts, smoke disperses, stars burn out. And from this, we get the illusion that time moves forward. But what if entropy is an emergent property, a side effect? What if time moves forward only because we see more disorder as time unfolds? What if, on a deeper level, the universe doesn't care which direction it goes? This leads to a chilling idea. The universe could be symmetrical in time. Our past and future may mirror each other, but we're stuck inside a perception, locked into entropy's unfolding, unable to see the bigger picture. What if you woke up one day and entropy began to reverse? What if eggs uncracked, fires reassembled into wood and flame, and your body grew younger, not older? Would time still feel the same? Would 1 hour still be an hour? And if not, then what is time really? A clock? A rhythm? Or just the way we experience change? Because without change, without memory, without entropy, time has no meaning. A frozen universe, perfectly still, could last a second or a billion years, and we'd never know. You've seen the edge of the map. You've looked beyond the known and found the cracks, fractures in logic, paradoxes wrapped in equations. But now we step into even darker waters. These are the questions that twist the minds of scientists, the riddles that stare back when we try to define reality. These are not just scientific problems, they are existential mirrors, and the first paradox waiting for us is this. If time began at the Big Bang, what banged? Science tells us space and time were born together in that primal instant. But born from what? We cannot describe the moment of the Big Bang itself. The math breaks. The laws shatter. Every equation that defines time, matter, and energy collapses at that singularity. We have no before, no coordinates, no causality. But how can something come from nothing? If there was no time, there was no change, no cause, no sequence, no ticking clock. So how did we get this? The answer might lie in quantum mechanics, the ghost that haunts all of physics. At the smallest scales, particles behave not like billiard balls, but like possibilities. A particle can be in multiple places at once. It can tunnel through barriers. It can affect another particle instantly, across galaxies, in a phenomenon Einstein called spooky action at a distance. Quantum uncertainty doesn't allow absolute stillness. Even in a vacuum, something flickers. Particles appear and vanish, borrowing energy from nowhere, existing for fractions of seconds. And from that chaos, maybe, everything emerged. A quantum fluctuation, a ripple in the void. Not a cause, but a happening. A moment with no before. But here's the twist. If the universe can emerge from nothing once, what stops it from happening? Again? What if universes are bubbling into existence all the time, like foam on the surface of a boiling pot? Each one with its own laws, its own timeline, its own destiny. You live in one, but there may be others. And now we ask, what happens when those universes touch? Welcome to the bubble collision hypothesis. Some scientists believe that in the inflationary chaos following the Big Bang, our universe may have bumped into others. Vast, roaring spheres of expanding spacetime smashing into each other at unimaginable speed. If true, these collisions would leave scars, cold spots in the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of creation. And we've found them. Maybe. But like all things in cosmology, the data whispers, never screams. The signal is buried in noise. It could be real, or just chance. Now let's turn to something even more terrifying. Vacuum decay. Right now, the universe seems stable. Stars burn, galaxies drift, time flows. But what if that stability is a lie? What if we're living in a false vacuum, a temporary state, like a ball balanced in a shallow dip on a hill? It feels stable until it isn't. One quantum event, one tiny shift, and that ball could roll down, triggering a chain reaction, a new state of physics, a true vacuum. And in that new state, the rules change. Light, matter, time itself, redefined, instantly. The universe wouldn't explode. It would rewrite. And here's the horror. If vacuum decay begins, it travels at the speed of light. You'll never see it coming. No warning. No escape. One moment, you exist. The next, you were never possible. Let that settle. Now step into another impossibility, the observer effect. In quantum experiments, particles behave differently when they are observed. A photon passes through both slits until you watch. Then it chooses. Why? Why should observation change reality? What does it mean to observe? Some physicists say consciousness collapses the wave function, that your act of seeing fixes reality into place. Others say it's just an interaction, not mystical, just mechanical. But the question lingers, Does the universe need a witness to exist? And if so, what was observing before we came? Were we always meant to awaken? Are we not the product of the universe, but its mirror? The participatory universe hypothesis, proposed by John Wheeler, dares to suggest this. The universe is incomplete until it's observed, until you look at it, until you ask the question. And suddenly, time, space, matter, existence itself, depends on you being here. Let's go deeper. Boltzmann brains. If the universe lasts long enough, random fluctuations could assemble conscious minds out of particles, not from evolution, not from biology, but from pure chance. A fully formed, disembodied brain, floating in the void, thinking, remembering a life it never lived, imagining a past that never happened. And here's the paradox. Statistically, it's far more likely that you're a Boltzmann brain hallucinating this reality than a human who evolved through billions of years. So who are you, really? Can you prove you're not a cosmic accident, dreaming this moment before vanishing forever? You can't, and now, the paradox becomes personal. Time may not be real. The future may already exist. The past may be preserved in some inaccessible corner of spacetime. But your experience of time, this slow, steady, inevitable march, is your anchor. And if that anchor is an illusion, what are you? Are you a traveler or just a frame in the reel? Let's go one step further. The simulation hypothesis. Maybe none of this is real. Not the stars, not the galaxies, not the ticking of the clock. Maybe you are part of a simulation. Data inside a cosmic computer, created by entities so advanced, their reality is to you what your dreams are to an ant. Some physicists take this idea seriously, because if it's possible to simulate a universe, and if advanced civilizations are common, then statistically, you are far more likely to be inside a simulation than outside of one. If true, time isn't even a fundamental property. It's a setting, a variable, a function coded by the architects. And 1 hour? Just a loop in a program. Change the code, change the clock. And that brings us to the final question. What if time never started? What if it always was? In some models of the universe, like loop quantum cosmology, there is no beginning, no singularity, just a bounce, a contraction before the expansion. Time flows inward, then outward again, an eternal pulse, and in that pulse, your hour is just one beat in an infinite rhythm. You began somewhere in the middle. You end nowhere, because time has no edge, and neither do you. So now you know. We don't understand time. Not truly. We measure it. We live it. We feel it crawling across our skin. But when we reach out to define it, to grasp it, it slips between our fingers. And what remains are contradictions, paradoxes, impossible truths. Does time flow? Or is it already written? Can you change your future? Or are you living it because it's already been chosen? Does an hour even exist? Or is it just a story we tell ourselves to keep from falling into the abyss? You wake up every morning thinking, time is on your side, that the future is something you move toward, that your memories are behind you, and your choices still ahead. But what if you've already lived this day, not just once, but 1,000 times before? What if every thought you think, every breath you take, every heartbeat echoing in your chest, has already happened? Not yesterday, not last week, but forever ago. What if you are not moving through time, but trapped inside a memory the universe keeps replaying? Would you feel free? Would you feel real? If time is an illusion, then so is your story. You are not making decisions. You are remembering them. You are not choosing your path. You are walking it in hindsight, in the echo of something that's already been written. You are the sound of thunder, convinced you caused thy BB lightning. And now, a deeper thought creeps in. What if the universe is not a stage, but a mind? What if these galaxies, these stars, this dark fabric humming with quantum energy, what if it's thinking? And what if you are one of its thoughts? What if your love, your sorrow, your laughter and pain are flickers of consciousness inside something greater? You've seen neurons under a microscope. You've seen galaxies through a telescope. Now ask, can you tell the difference? Patterns repeat. Scales shift. The brain and the cosmos, they rhyme. And suddenly, your hour, your precious hour in space, is no longer yours. It belongs to something else, to the thing that dreamed you. The fear sets in, because if the universe is alive, then death is not the end. It's the closing of a loop, a moment returning to its beginning. But if the universe is not alive, if it's cold, mechanical, indifferent, then death is final. Silence, emptiness. Your story, lost in the static. Either way, your hour is not what you thought. You might think, it's just 60 minutes, but you've learned too much now. You've seen that an hour can stretch to a century, or collapse into nothing. You've seen that time is not a river, but a maze with no entrance and no exit. And here's the most terrifying question of all. What if the hour you're living is the last? What if you are experiencing the final flicker of human consciousness? What if the moment you call now is the universe's last thought before it blinks into darkness? You want to look away, but you can't, because the truth has weight now. You feel it in your bones. You feel it when you look at the stars and realize they've already died. Their light only pretending to be now. You feel it when you watch the clock, knowing it only ticks because you believe it should. And worst of all, you feel it when you remember something that never happened. A déjà vu, a whisper of a moment already lived, already known, already gone. So what does it mean to be alive inside this illusion? If time is a dream, are you the dreamer or just the dream? And if everything is repeating, if the multiverse stretches endlessly with copies of you thinking these same thoughts, then what matters? Your name? Your legacy? Or simply the fact that right now, against all odds, you are aware? Maybe that's all the universe wants. Not answers, not obedience, but awareness. Maybe you are here not to escape the illusion, but to witness it, to stare into the darkness, and realize it is staring back. And maybe, just maybe, that's what it means to exist, to feel the weight of 1 hour in space, not measured in seconds, but in wonder, in dread, in the burning miracle of being conscious at all. Let's return to the question, how long is 1 hour in space? We've unraveled theories, touched paradoxes, we've bent time and twisted space, and along the way, Something has changed in you. You're not the same person who asked that question in the beginning, because now you know that time is not measured by the ticking of clocks, but by the unfolding of reality itself. And here is where the truth turns inside out. What if there is no hour, no minute, no time at all? What if time already ended? Think about it. We are surrounded by echoes, light from stars that died before our species existed, photons stretched across the void, red-shifted by a universe expanding into silence. Every signal we receive is a whisper from the past. So what if all of it, the stars, the planets, the galaxies, us, are not happening, but already happened? What if this moment is the last vibration of a dying bell? What if we are simply watching the final flickers of cosmic memory, bleeding through a collapsing dimension? You believe you're alive, but what if you're just playing out your final sequence? What if the universe already collapsed into entropy, and you are only experiencing the slow-motion echo of its death, stretched across the final horizon of time? Imagine it. A universe that died billions of years ago, but from inside, where time slows, consciousness continues, like a dream that lasts an eternity in the instant before waking. A cosmic coma. A final hallucination before the lights go out, and we, the thinkers, the lovers, the explorers, are all just frozen frames in a collapsing timeline, reliving our stories over and over as the simulation degrades and the code unravels. But then, a deeper twist emerges. What if we're not in the final moment? What if we are the origin? Not the dying echo, but the first ripple. Because in quantum mechanics, time can be symmetric. It can run forward and backward. Events can retrocausally influence their own past. Observers can shape outcomes before they even happen. And so we arrive at a possibility so profound, so beautifully terrifying, that it reshapes everything we thought we knew. What if the universe is not unfolding from the Big Bang, but collapsing toward a final observer? A moment so dense, so complete, so conscious, that it draws all timelines inward, that it bends reality backward through itself, that it pulls us into being, not because it was before us, but because it is waiting ahead. The omega point, a single, mind at the end of time, so powerful that it creates the entire universe, retroactively. Every star, every galaxy, every thought you've ever had, all drawn into existence from the gravitational pull of the future. The cosmos doesn't end in cold death. It ends in a realization, and we are the neurons firing in its awakening. So again, you ask, how long is 1 hour in space? And the answer is no longer scientific. It is spiritual. It is cinematic. It is terrifying. It is beautiful. 1 hour in space is a prayer whispered by a dying universe. Or the first breath of a universe being born. 1 hour is the life of a star, or the blink of a god. It is eternity frozen in motion. And here you are, somewhere in the middle of it all. A pattern of particles, self-aware, staring into the darkness and daring to ask, what am I? And in asking, you become more than matter. You become meaning. So now, close your eyes. Let the question linger. Let the mystery live, and remember, if the universe is infinite, then somewhere out there, beyond the veil of dimensions, another version of you is asking this question, right now, and somewhere else, Another is answering it. But the one truth that binds you together, the one constant that transcends all, time, is this: you are not watching the universe. The universe is watching itself. Through you. You've traveled a long way. From the illusion of a simple hour to the unraveling of time itself. From clocks and gravity to the haunting idea that time may not even be real. You've drifted through the furnace of the early universe, hovered on the edge of black holes, peeked into time loops, stood face to face with paradoxes that have no answers. And somewhere along the way, you changed. Because once you've looked behind the curtain of reality, once you've seen that even time, the most sacred thread in our lives, can twist, stretch, break, and vanish. You can't go back. You were searching for how long 1 hour is in space. But you found something else. You found that time is not universal, that it does not flow the same for every being, every star, every planet. That your now is someone else's past or future. That you are perhaps just one version of yourself in one timeline among an endless ocean of others, each living out variations of the same hour or the same illusion. And maybe that's the truth no one wants to face, that the real measure of time isn't in seconds or minutes, it's in meaning. Because what is time, really, without memory, without consciousness, without someone to witness it? Time without you is nothing. And you without time? You are everything. You are the flicker in the void, the anomaly in the equation, the ghost in the gravity. A thinking flame that refuses to be extinguished. So now, what comes next? What happens after you understand that time isn't what you thought? Do you go back to life as before, watching clocks, counting days, waiting for moments to pass? Or do you start seeing, start noticing the quiet shifts, the strange alignments, the unexplained echoes in your own memory, those déjà vu moments that feel like whispers from another version of you, trying to get through? Do you start asking more questions? Because the universe is not done with you. Not even close, you see. Every answer leads deeper. Every solved puzzle reveals another, darker corridor. And somewhere in the maze of physics, perception, and quantum shadow play is a door, one that hasn't opened yet, because it waits for the right observer, for someone who won't just ask how time works, but why it exists at all. So ask. Ask what time would look like from outside the universe. Ask what it means to live in a reality where the beginning and the end may be the same thing. Ask if this hour, this very one, is truly yours. And if you're brave enough, ask the question no one wants to ask. What if the universe has already ended, and you're just the last thought it's having before it goes quiet? Now look around. Feel the moment. Don't rush it. Let it burn itself into your memory. Because memory, as fragile and strange as it is, may be the only thing that's real. And, as this journey ends, let one idea echo in your mind. Soft, infinite, unfinished. The universe may have no end. But maybe, neither do you. If this story opened your mind, share your thoughts below. What do you believe time really is? What if we've misunderstood it all? Let the mystery continue. In the comments, in your dreams, and in the quiet spaces between each tick of the clock. Because sometimes, the best way to understand the universe is simply to ask a better question.